The Royals end up splitting the doubleheader with the St. Louis Cardinals, which means they won the series. They're on to the White Sox. Some offensive performances that are worthy of talking about, some pitching performances that are. And I know there are some other things y'all want to get to regarding the first game of this series, or the second game, or the first game today. My goodness, my brain's all over the place. It's late night. We'll talk about it all live right now on One Row Away. We're back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube if you're watching this live on Thursday night. Make sure you're subscribed on the audio platforms as well. Hit those notification bells everywhere you can so you know when these episodes go up. I want to thank y'all very much for off the top here. We hit 800 subscribers. I wanted to get there before the All-Star break. Y'all were smashing the subscribe button as Cags was called up and all that. So thank you very much. Let's keep it going. Let's see if we can get to 900 by the All-Star break now. I'd love for that to be the goal. It's lofty a little bit, but I think we can get there. This show, as always, brought to you by Emprise Bank. Remember, FDIC, our partners in Possible here on Kansas City Sports Network. We can't thank them enough for their support of everything we do here at KCSN and this show. A lot to get to. Doubleheader today. The game was banged on Wednesday because of rain in the St. Louis area. So they played a split doubleheader today, 12:45 first pitch for the first game, and then 6:45 tonight. That's why we're a little later here as we're live on a Thursday night. Normally, this is not the case, but because the game went a little longer, here we are. The Royals lost the first game today, 6-5 in 10 innings. The game ended up going extras. And, the Royals fought to get it back to extras. And they started off playing this game pretty well. Justin Petty, before I get going here, first time catching you live. Cags is going to be a beast. He's for sure boosted the bats. Thank you for hopping in, and make sure you hit that subscribe and the like button. Thank you for hopping through first time catching a live show. Thank you very much. This game started off hot for the Royals. Jonathan India hits a leadoff home run off Miles Michaelis, and India's been better as of late, and he's kind of getting going. He had a 4-hit game, I believe, the night before, 2 hits today, or in game 1 today. I'm going to say today quite a bit, but I'm talking about 2 games here, so I apologize. But when he's getting going, it kind of makes this offense roll. And what we've seen a lot through these first couple of games that they shifted the lineup around, not only with Caglianone being in it, but moving Garcia to hit third, Vinny to hit fourth, and Salvi to hit fifth. It seems to have made a difference offensively for this team. Vinny had 4 hits today. OPS now up to 730, after that first game. He comes up huge later on in this game. The biggest hit of the game early was Jac Caglianone getting his first big league hit, and it came in an 0-2 count, which if you watch the night game, he kind of struggled, but this first game, he gets a curveball 0-2 from Miles Michaelis, and I kind of wondered. He went fastball. It was the first, and he swung through a fastball top of the zone 0-1. First time he had swung and missed at a pitch in the big leagues at that point. And I wondered, okay, is he going to go to breaking ball here? And he did. Michaelis did. Jack hung back on it and drove it down the right field line for a double, first hit, and it's an RBI, brings in Salvador Perez, and he made it 2-0 early in this game in the 4th inning. And it was good to see. Obviously, you watch a dude's first big league hit, like that's a big deal. Is first of many, all those cliches. But 0-2 curveball to still get a pretty good swing off on it and drive it in the gap for an extra base hit was good to see. And we'll see him continue to progress. We'll talk about some of the things maybe on the negative side, or just some of the things that he needs to work on later on in this episode. Vinny came through in the 5th, made it 3-0. He singled to the left side, drives in Bobby, and you're feeling like you're in a good spot, especially with the way Noah Cameron have been throwing the ball. and we'll get to him here in a little bit. They chip away a little bit in the 7th once Cameron left the game after the 6th inning. I know it's a very contentious topic today, so I'll talk about that here, in a minute in a longer form. They get one on what was thought to be a double play initially. Bobby makes kind of a weird throw. It was trying to be a quick throw to Massey, but he kind of skipped it to him. And to Massey's credit, he gets the, pick and turn quick, but not quick enough. So they only get one. Sack fly makes it 3-2. 8th inning rolls around. Taylor Clark comes out, and Taylor Clark had been very good for the Royals to this point. This go round with Kansas City, not necessarily as much the previous 2 years in 22 and 23, and he just hung a pitch to Ivan Herrera. I think it was I want to say it was a fastball, but I might be wrong here. No, it was just a slider that hung up. That's right. And he deposits it into the seats, and there's your ball game. At least at that point, it's 4-3 in the 8th, and the bottom of the order's coming up, and you're like, oh no, like you kind of snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. At least that was the thought, at that point. And I got to give the bottom of the lineup credit. Michael Massey and Ryan Helsley's coming in, who throws absolute shed, triple digits with a slider in the low 90s. And Massey flicks the ball to left center. He gets on. Kyle Isbell hits a 2-hopper through, and he's on. It's first and second, or first and third with one out. Nick Lofton pinch ran for Massey. My brain is moving too fast, guys. I'm sorry. He pinch ran for Massey, first to third, and then India comes up with the sack fly, and you're tied. And you end up getting it to extra innings. And they get it, and Jonathan Bolin threw a great 9th inning. The Royals get a run. Vinny comes up again. He hits a ball to Brendan Donovan that he couldn't quite get to, deflected off of him. And then that's all you end up getting. Estevez comes in, who has obviously been great for this team this year. Then gives up a hit, ground ball. It was a weird, excuse me swing by Mason Wynn. And, he ends up grounding out, but the run scores. They intentionally walk to, I believe that loads those. So it ends up essentially, second and, first and second with one out. You're looking for a ground ball, get out of the inning. Slider down and away from Estevez. Wilson Contreras flicks it out into left center, and there's your ball game. Tough one to lose because of the way you felt like the offense played pretty well. You pitched well enough to keep yourself in the game, especially with what Noah Cameron went out and did. But ultimately you lose because the bullpen didn't do enough. And that's where I think the conversation shifts. Noah Cameron was great again today. And to his credit, I thought he pitched really well outside of that 2nd inning. And that's where you kind of wonder about a guy, especially a rookie. How are they going to handle when their command is failing them a little bit? And he wasn't great in the 1st inning either, but he got out of it in 9-10 pitches because he's a super pitch efficient guy. But that 2nd inning, glove side command was really bad. He was spraying his fastball in. The cutter was moving too much in. Slider, was in too much to righties. It was all glove side. And it was the same miss, so you knew it was a pretty easy fix. But you just wonder, 25 pitches, you walked a couple guys, ends up getting out of the inning with no damage. But I wonder, okay, is he going to be able to correct here and get back in the zone a little more and keep the Royals in the game? And he did that. 6 innings, only 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, and just those 2 walks. Back-to-back walks to start the 2nd, and then nothing after that. The ERA is 0.85. The only other guy in big league history to go at least 6 with 1 run or less given up in their first 5 career starts was Fernando Valenzuela in 1981. When Fernando Mania, right? Noah Cameron's the only other dude to be on that list with him. So this is a historic start to a career, and continuing to prove he needs to be in the starting rotation moving forward. It sounds like that's going to be the case, and they're going to do a little bit of shuffling. it hasn't been reported officially yet, but Michael Lorenzen is still slated to start in this upcoming series with the Chicago White Sox. So we may be seeing a 6-man rotation for a little bit, which I think there is some benefit to it. Even if I am not a huge fan of Michael Lorenzen in the rotation moving forward, it gives an extra day for Reagans to continue to get right. We'll talk about him here in a little bit. It allows some time for Chris Bubich, an extra day of rest. He's already surpassed his innings from this past year already, before we even get to the middle of June. And he's been great, but first full year coming off of Tommy John, you got to be careful. And you also have Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha, guys in their early to mid 30s. I think it's a good way in the middle of the year for, not the whole rest of the season, but maybe leading into the All-Star break, just a little bit of extra rest as we head down the stretch of the season, right around the time, that halfway mark. Could be the way to do it. The biggest point that a lot of people were angry about, frustrated about with Matt Quatraro was pulling Noah Cameron when they did after the 6th inning. He had only thrown 82 pitches. He had kind of gotten the pitch efficiency back after throwing after throwing the 25 pitches in the 2nd inning. And I understand that. And I understand people being frustrated by it because you just want to see the guy go back out there. It was I believe the middle of the order. I'm going to get the actual guys that were coming up just so that I can make sure that I have the right thing here. So it was 4, 5, and 6 in their lineup with John Schreiber coming up, Wilson Contreras, Ivan Herrera, and Nolan Arenado. So 4, 5, 6, middle of the order. It was the 3rd time they had seen him. And even though it's a small sample of Noah Cameron seeing 3rd time through the order, it's like a 950 OPS. So when guys see him for a 3rd time, and that happens throughout baseball, it's not exclusive to him, and just naturally, the more you see a guy, the more likely it is you're going to get hit because you got a better feel for it. So, and the Royals have been real careful about that. He's only seen full 3 times through the order once this year. That was against the Reds in his previous start, where he went 6 1/3. And even though he pitched well, that was 3 times through. And there's very few guys in baseball that you truly trust 3 times through the order. They've been real careful about his pitch count. He's never thrown more than 90 or 91 pitches because they're trying to, keep his arm healthy. So there were a couple of factors at play here, and I understand why they went and did it. There's also the, hey, you might as well, clean inning, give a clean inning to the bullpen and go rather than, hey, we're going to send him back out. Oh, he gets knocked around a little bit, and then it's 3-1 with a runner on second, nobody out, and now you got a muddy inning for the reliever. So there's a few factors at play, and really a lot of the conversation just stems from the results more than the process. That's all it is. And truly, no fan short for fanatic, I get it. No one likes their manager. No one. Yankees fans want Aaron Boone fired every other day. Up until the last World Series, Dodgers fans have been tired of Dave Roberts forever, right? No, I'm just convinced that no big league team likes their manager, right? And so it's the easiest path to just frustration because it's the easiest person to blame because they're the one that made the decision. But then you lose sight of Josh Schreiber didn't pitch well today, right? He was throwing strikes, but he was in the middle of the zone with his fastball. Daniel Lynch didn't pitch great today either. Taylor Clark hung a slider. And there's no telling what happens if Noah Cameron goes back out for the 7th. And y'all would have, and too accusatory. I have a feeling y'all would have killed Matt Quatraro if they sent Noah Cameron back out in the 7th. And he gets knocked. If Noah Cameron gets knocked around and then it's too late, and then you're going to the muddy inning, why didn't they just take Cameron out in the 6th? And that's the kind of stuff where it's results versus process, right? So we'll see over the course of the season if they continue to have kind of a quick hook on Cameron, but he's gotten into the 6th in every start. So it's not like they're in a situation where they're having to worry about him that way. Maybe they trust him into the 7th next outing because of this. We'll see. But It was a result that didn't match the process. I think they did a fine job, but I understand I'm in the minority. Whatever. I've got a little long here, so I think that's probably going to do it for game one. We'll talk about game two on the other side of this break.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Folks, it's playoff time, and if you're still just watching games, then you're missing out. With Pick 6 from DraftKings, you can turn your hoops knowledge into real cash. Just make your picks, track your score, and if you hit all 6, you're looking at bigger payouts than Prize Picks flex plays. Nobody's dropping better payouts than Pick 6. Hit 6 picks, and that's 25 times your cash. And if you beat your competition, you could be looking at a 500 times bag in your pocket. And right now, new customers can get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. Here's what you got to do. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot at making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins, only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe button as we're live here on YouTube. I'm sorry, I just saw the game winner, the Tyrese Halliburton, just hit against my Oklahoma City Thunder. Tough scene. Is what it is. There's a 7-game series for a reason. Sorry, that threw me off a little bit. The Royals ended up winning game 2 in this doubleheader 7-5, and again started hot. Michael Garcia with a first inning home run hit the foul pole and down the right field line. It looked odd. I thought it maybe was foul, but that's 3 games in a row with the first inning homer in a lead. So it speaks to again the way that this coaching staff and this front office decided, you know what? We're gonna shift the lineup a little bit. We need to shake something up, especially with Caglianone being here now. And moving Michael to 3, it seems to have made a little bit of a difference. He was 0 for 5 in the first game, but he had a couple of hits and the big RBI late in the game. New big 2 RBI single late in the game on Tuesday that kind of shifted the tide, gave the Royals some insurance. He had 2 hits and the 2 RBIs with the home run today. So seems like he's kind of in good shape. He was started in center field today and looked pretty good out there. And this game was kind of tough from the start because you feel like Reagan's coming off the injured list, some time off. He's going to be healthy and good to go. He didn't pitch that great. I think that's generous. He wasn't very good tonight. Only 3 innings. He threw 78 pitches, 5 hits, 5 earned, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks, including a home run, Nolan Arenado. Gave up a 4 spot in the bottom of the 3rd. Just didn't have it pretty much from jump. Velocity still needs to come back. Now, it's his first start off the injured list, so, take it for what it is. But The average fastball was still about a tick below the the season average. He was able to get up to 97. So that's a good sign. Like, it's not necessarily health related. It's just probably kind of like Lugo, like just maybe one more outing and we're kind of back to shape. We'll see what Lugo has over the weekend against the White Sox, if he's able to kind of get back. A lot of fastballs, didn't have really a feel for much else. Not a lot of changeups, sliders. 43 of his 78 pitches were fastballs. He's still got 11 swings and misses and still got 4 strikeouts in 3 innings, but you need more from him. ERA's over 5 right now, and he's getting knocked around a lot. We'll see what he has moving forward, but like, he's probably your 4th best starter right now, 5th. And I mean, that's a little bit of, and I think that speaks to how good Chris Bubich and Michael Wacha have been, and how good Noah Cameron's been. But you need more out of Cole Reagans if you're going to go far in this season. He needs to be your win day guy, and lately he hasn't been that. And this is both pre-injury and then the first outing after skipping a start and then going back on the injured list. Cole Reagans just hasn't had it. And I'm going to look. I wonder how much of this stems from when he left the game in Cleveland back in like mid-April. Like, and kind of where things have gone since then. Because in that outing, he goes 7 2/3 with 10 strikeouts. But then since then, this goes back to 418. It's only a handful of starts because he missed a couple. But I want to look at this just for my own sanity here. I looked at it wrong on Fangraphs. My bad. Hang on here, folks. This is coming into tonight because it's obviously they're not going to be able to add in the start, but it'll inflate the numbers. But coming into tonight, it's 22 innings and 5 starts, the 6.95 ERA, and there's 38 strikeouts in those 22 innings, but it's 17 earned runs. The FIP is low, so maybe that is an indicator that, hey, he'll get it figured out. But he gave up another home run tonight, so that'll inflate the FIP. He walked 3, that'll inflate it. So we'll see as he gets healthier, or if maybe he gets healthier, that you end up in a decent spot with him maybe getting back to normal or closer to normal. We'll see, but it is something to monitor in 5-6 days, whether Cole Reagans is closer to the guy we saw last year in the end of 23, or if this is kind of who he is this year and he's just going to have to battle injuries and move forward. But it is something to watch. Scroller on YouTube here. Do you think there's something expected ERA or FIP are missing with Reagans, or has he been super unlucky? I think there is a little bit of an unlucky factor. Coming into tonight, the ERA is 6.95 and the FIP is 2.62. And some of that is he really didn't give up a lot of runs based on the walks and he's given up 3 home runs, but those were in the starts on the 18th of April and the 24th of April, that Rocky start where he ended up leaving early with the hammy, I think it was. Or no, that was the first groin tightness game. The hamstring was the Cleveland start, I believe it was. But those things possibly are still lingering. And those types of soft tissue injuries can just kind of hang around all year. So we'll see. It's still a 15K per 9. I mean, the guy's still going to get punch outs no matter what. But you got to hope that he can give you more. Now, the good news is the offense showed up. Right. You get those the 2 runs there in the first. Freddie homers, Vinny gets a ground out, Salvi comes through, and you're feeling pretty good there. And the extent of the runs really stopped in the 5th inning. Nick Lofton doubles, and he's been hitting the ball well lately. Salvi comes through again. Maybe he's getting going a little bit, moving down in the order, moving to, maybe that 5 spot is the right spot for him. The 2 hits today with 2 RBIs, a great at bat against, it was a right-handed reliever, it was the lefty King, fouled off like 6 pitches and ends up working that single later on in the game. So that's a spot to watch for sure. I know people want to talk about Jac Caglianone, so we'll go ahead and do it. Obviously, he gets the hit in the first game, and then just a bunch of ground outs and not a lot of great at bats after. Today was really the first game that was a struggle for him. 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. So this is where he's going to have to continue to adjust. There's still a lot of early count swings, and he's swinging a lot. But we knew that he was going to do that. That's something he's going to have to continue to work through. The thing that I see, though, is, and we didn't see a lot of the hard contact that we saw in that first game that made you really kind of perk up like, oh, this will be fine. He really didn't have that today. The only ball he put in play was a tapper back to the pitcher, and it was on a sinker kind of in. So he's searching a little bit right now, but that's to be expected with a guy trying to make it in the big leagues early on, even for a guy as talented as Jac is. He's going to have to learn to kind of take his shots a little more. And this is maybe where a guy like Vinny can teach him. A guy that's a little more selective at the plate, knowing when to take your shots swinging and when to, work the count. Because he's going to have to walk a little bit. Even if he's a guy that puts the ball in play quite a bit like Bobby, these are the kind of things you have to work through. And you could see some visible frustration tonight. And I don't blame him. Like, I'd be frustrated too if I was 1 for my big league career, even if it's 3 games, for a guy as talented as he is, probably hasn't experienced something like this, early on. But he also, I think what we saw in AA and AAA, and why I'm not concerned by any of it, is the guy adjusts quick. He has games like this. And he had games like that, and even in AAA, the week, earlier in the week when he got called up to that first home game, I still remember it. He went 0 for 5, 3 punch outs, and didn't look great. Should they commit to Cags being a DH first base? Maybe, but you still have Vinny and Salvi. You're going to have to rotate at first base and DH. So he looked fine in right field. I didn't think that's part of it either. I think eventually that's probably what he's going to be, but just so he fits in the roster today, as presently constituted, he's going to play some outfield. And he'll still play some first base, play some DH. I don't think that's necessarily part of it. But he goes 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts in that first game in Omaha, and you wonder, okay, he had a really great week in Salt Lake, but maybe there's a little bit of a learning curve here. Not playing at the elevation in Salt Lake. And the next day he goes 3 for 4 with 3 hits, and all of them were hit 100 miles an hour. It's like, okay, he's able to, I think what he showed is he's able to turn the page pretty quick, and he's a pretty mentally tough dude. There is that, and you're going to have to be mentally tough if you play in the big leagues, even if you're a Bobby Witt Jr., a Vinny Pasquantino, a Salvador Perez. Like, you have to be able to shake these days off and go from there. You face some really good pitching, and you face some really good defense in St. Louis. Now you're going to go and play the Chicago White Sox. Maybe it's a little bit, down a level, just a hair, and it can boost it for him. And I really think, I thought maybe getting that first hit would take a lift, weight off. It really didn't, because the next couple at bats in the game, the first game today, were not great still. And then obviously the 3 punch outs today, you could tell he was just searching. But we'll see what happens over the weekend. I'm not concerned about Jac, and it's pretty clear that him being in this offense, they believe in him. The leaders on this team believe in him. The front office does. And I don't think there's any reason why. I don't think there's any reason to send him back down. Like, it's not going to teach him anything either. Like, he proved very quickly he was too good for AAA, and there wasn't much for him left to learn. And so then now it's just learning it at the big league level. And with the best coaches and against the best pitching, that's the best way to learn. We'll see where it goes. Probables for this series against the Chicago White Sox, who won today against the Detroit Tigers. So Royals did pick up, I think, at least a half game on the Tigers today. But it's going to be Seth Lugo against Davis Martin, who the Royals have seen previously. Saturday is going to be Michael Wacha versus Adrian Hauser, who's pitched pretty well in a small sample for them, 1.47 ERA. And then it'll be Michael Lorenzen and Shane Smith on Sunday. The start times for that, it's a 6:40 first pitch on Friday. It's going to be a 3:10 first pitch on Saturday, and then a 1:10 first pitch on Sunday. You have to take 2 or 3. You hope you can sweep, and if you sweep, at that point now you're 30. You're 36 and 30. Right now, put yourself 6 games over with the Yankees coming into town. Midweek, and then you got a chance to bounce back there as well over the weekend, next weekend against the A's. But you come in, 35 and 31, 36 and 30. You got a little bit of breathing room there to maybe you take it on the chin against the Yankees. Maybe you surprise some people with some, a little bit of confidence from what they had this weekend, heading into the Yankees. And we'll see, but I'm still excited for this series. This is a series where you have to take your wins. You're gonna go 500 against most of your schedule, but beat the teams you need to beat, and then go 500 against everyone else. Right, like that should be your goal. And the White Sox are improved, but they're not by that much. And so you still have to continue to take advantage of these games, even if they are on the road. And this is only the second series the Royals have played against the White Sox. They had knocked out a lot of their time against the Sox early on last year. It kind of inflated their record. Not the case this year. So they have a chance to pad it a little bit before the Yankees come to town, and I expect them to do so. I didn't talk about it a lot after the Reagan start because I wanted to move to the offense and talk about Cags. The bullpen was great tonight, and it's why while I understand the frustration for the way things went in the first game, I understand why they did it. The bullpen was great the day before. You expect it to continue to be. Angel Serpa gave you yeoman's work out of the bullpen because they went to Reagan. They pulled Cameron in the 6th. They had already burned Schreiber. They had burned Clark. And Estevez threw a couple of pitches. Obviously he got knocked out a little bit earlier because of the Manfred runner that ended up scoring and, shortened the extra innings. Zerpa gives you 3 innings, 1 hit, 4 strikeouts, and a walk. And that walk was with 2 outs in that third, in the 6th, but ends up getting out of the inning. It was about as confident as I've seen him in quite a while. Got early count outs on ground balls. The fastball was lively at the top of the zone. I don't think he's necessarily like circle of trust back, but that's the type of outing that earns you trust from the manager. And I think the stuff is still just too good for him to have the results that he has some nights. So we'll see. Maybe this was the start of something for him. Steven Cruz continues awesome for this team. He got 7 whiffs in 2 innings, 4 punchies, and 98, 99 all over. A slider that's 92 to 93. The cutter is 96. Threw a perfect fastball down and away to a lefty. Punch out at 98. Like there's nothing you're doing with that pitch. And then Estevez, after blowing the save. I don't think blowing the game is the right way to put it, but blows the save and extras, gets a bounce back, super comfy, 9th inning. Gets the save, his 18th on the year. The ERA is still below 2 for him, and he's been awesome for this team. 18 to 21 in save ops, and I think 2 of those are extra innings with the runner already starting on second, so it is what it is. But 13 strikeouts today, and that bullpen gave you 9 strikeouts to 1 walk in 6 innings. Honestly, I don't have a drink with me tonight, but Toast Game to Holiday Distillery. The soft red wheat is my favorite bottle of bourbon. Not dipping into it tonight, but I'm going to give it to Zerpa and Estevez, and Cruz and Estevez for locking down the game after a tough start from the guy that's perceived to be your ace. He doesn't give you that, and they still picked him up, and they end up winning this game. So Huge shout out to them. They don't win without those 3 innings from Angel Serpa. They don't win without those 2 innings from Cruz. And the offense has been great. It was, as David Lesky mentioned, first time this year the Royals have scored 5+ runs in 3 consecutive games this year. Maybe this is the formula now as we move forward with India Witt, Michael, Vinny, Salvi, Cags. If that's it moving forward with some combination of Lofton, Drew Waters, Isbell, Freddie Fermin, Mark Canha at the bottom of the lineup, we're in pretty good shape moving forward as an offense, and they're going to continue to add. I do find it interesting that Cam Devaney is playing second and third in Omaha lately, the last couple of games. Maybe we see him after the series in Chicago. And then, the trade deadline is, a month and a half away or so, and they'll find a way to add a bat, I'd imagine. If they're, they're in a spot where they feel like they can contend and they're, 1 bat away. If they are, then this lineup lengthens considerably, and hopefully Cags is broken in and feeling, confident at that point, and then we'll see where it goes. But this series was a positive indicator that the offense is heading in the right direction, even if Cags has not quite gotten going yet. But he's 3 games into his big league career. We'll see what he does in Chicago this weekend and if he's able to take that next step forward. I think that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out live with me on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Check out the audio platforms as well. Make sure you're subscribed over there. Hit those notification bells. And we will talk on Sunday night after the White Sox series. We'll recap the weekend. And hopefully we're talking about another winning series and a big-time series coming up against the New York Yankees. We'll talk soon, everybody. Take care.